David Boxer-styled photo-impressionist painter Philip Thomas consistently produces red-letter works. The 9-member National Biennial Exhibitions Committee was sold, and they say art patrons concur.
All his pieces are very arresting in some way. When you look at his work, you have to ask yourself lots of different questions. What went through the mind of this artist? What is he trying to do?
What informs his work? What leads him to paint like this? But he has his own stories to tell. His works are not titled, so it leads the viewer to come up with their own stories.
His style, which is essentially a postmodernist style, is very attractive to contemporary collectors and so on, because, face it, abstraction and expressionism and so on often are a little at variance with sort of popular taste. This is closer to popular taste.
Thomas's End Train and an untitled piece Dr. Boxer took the liberty of calling Gluttony were the toast of this year's National Art Biennial. The exhibitions committee, headed by Boxer himself, so named the pieces, conferring on Thomas the coveted Aaron Matalan Award.
His work is very special, and it really stands out. And it brought a certain appeal to all the visitors who came into the gallery. They all stood before it and tried to make their own stories.
These are black people, according to him, stereotypical black people, but done in a sort of ironic mode, and they're getting ready to board the end train. That's my interpretation.
He's trying to portray the life that evolves around the idea of that train that passes through New York, through a city. What the city has become, with its poverty, with its different people, different class of people.
Philip Thomas draws on the painting techniques and experiences of the old masters. But even while he dabbles in a bit of Velázquez and Courbet, the subjects of his works are drawn primarily from contemporary experiences.
It's not a 17th century painting, it's not a 19th century painting, it's very much a 20th century painting. And part of the reason for that is there is a sort of surrealist undercurrent there. It's not a true realist painting. There are elements of surrealism in it, which is very much a modern element.
What Philip does is, it's more an intellectual process in a certain way, because what he does, he looks at a certain setting. He tries to put his painting in a certain context, and that context is might be a different culture, or it might be a different era.
In fact, the painting draws on a little of everything. Not just because it's painted in an academic way, but the content, everything. It's speaking to the people, ethnic people. It's speaking to Africa, it's speaking to history. It's speaking to then, it's speaking to now.
However, it's entirely open to your interpretation. Philip Thomas is a master at depicting parables. David Boxer was with him early on as he learned how to perfect the art of allegory.
If you look at the one over there, which seems to be some sort of discourse on gluttony, and just take the color red and see how the red is placed methodically through the painting. This is a thinking in fugal terms. That's the theme of red. Then he takes the theme up in white, and you have the movement of the whites through the painting and so on. So it's a pleasure for me to see that some of these lessons that we shared still hold true for him.
Boxer reckons that studying in New York has gifted Thomas a more intimate perspective of his inspiration. He says he stopped at nothing in getting Phillips's work to this year's biennial. He believed it commanded that level of recognition.
He's in a city where he can study Velázquez in the flesh, real Velázquez, hanging in the Frick or hanging in the Metropolitan Museum. Not Velázquez reduced to a little photograph in a book, but to look and see how the paint is put on. And when you look at these two paintings, especially that one there, and look at areas of the lobster and the fruit and so on, and see those impastos that are just touched onto the paint and so on. That's very much the proto-impressionism of Velázquez. And it's exciting for me to see how he has, or rather is maturing in his work.
Thomas received the Purchase Award during his final year exhibition at the Edna Manley College. He is currently pursuing doctoral studies at the New York Academy of Fine Art on a one-year scholarship extension, at the end of which he is expected to mount a one-man show. Brace yourself for another bit of heavy narrative. But the committee members maintain that getting the message is not as important as appreciating the artist's approach.
He's speaking to his own psyche, so that's what comes out in his work. You cannot dictate to an artist how they should paint, you can just guide them. And so they bring their own concepts and their own feel into what they do.
It's like a singer or a poet who, is inspired. You have some great poets who are able to, in very few words, to say, to put forward something very strong. Right? Or a singer who has a particular tune which comes out very strong and much more strongly than other tunes. So it's the same in Philip's work. You see the strength behind his intention.
Everybody approaches a work of art from what they can take from it, right? Everything that an artist puts into a work of art, we can't all take from it, because we don't have the same training as the artist. We don't know all the sources.
This is where we'll have to close the pages of this edition of Jamaica Magazine. Check us out tomorrow for another exciting program. And remember, this and other programs can be viewed online at www.jis.gov.jm. While you're at it, give us your feedback at Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm. On behalf of the team here at the JIS, I am Alison Watson. Have a great evening.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.